everybody, and welcome back. We're all done with Smash, at least for right now. They will be playing their grand final, but that's after we take over for some quick Rocket League action. My name is Aiden, and along with me is my friend Fred, my new friend Fred, who I met yesterday. But it's been a good, fun day of Rocket League we had yesterday, and we're prepared to bring you the action once again today.
Yes, so we got our first game, which is going to be Hartford Red versus Post. Post, a strong team that we saw yesterday. And Shoe Red, another strong team, is going to be in the finals for our losers bracket here. And then whoever wins against Hartford Red and Post will play Sacred Heart Red. And whoever wins that will go to our finals that we will see later on today.
Yeah, so we're going to see the first two matchups back-to-back, like Fred said. It's Hartford Red first against Post, then the winner of that plays Shoe Red. And then the grand final is going to be a little bit later. It's 1:30. So if you're interested in the Rocket League grand final, then you've got a little bit of a break. We're going to take some time off so we can do that Smash Ultimate grand final. And in that first matchup, Hartford Red versus Post. Hartford Red, a team that we saw a good bit yesterday, but Post, also a team we saw a little bit. But the thing is, they're coming in with a little bit of a different roster today, aren't they?
Right. We were up there for a little bit watching them warm up, and they have a couple of new players, right? I feel like Denny is one of them who we didn't see yesterday. However, we will see Atacat again, right?
Yeah, so we have Karamik coming in today, as well as Den and Swish4K. That should be their roster, according to these sheets we have, though. Maybe they switched it up. They do also have substitutes, as well as Lunava and Atacad did make the trip, like you said. But we're actually going to go to our MC upstairs, Dwayne, real quick, so he can introduce us to the whole Martiri Forum area up there and really get everyone hyped up for the match.
Welcome back. We just finished our Smash Ultimate competition between Hartford and Shoe, with Hartford being victorious. Now let's switch gears into Rocket League between Hartford and Post. On Hartford, we have Spy328, Surplushy, and my guy Astro. And on Post, we have Bill_1807, Astacot, and Denny. So plenty exciting Rocket League action coming up, but let's send right back to the studio before we get started.
Thank you, Dwayne. Much love to everybody up there in the forum, putting in all the good work today. And we are so psyched. Almost as excited as him. Not quite, though, because he was as enthusiastic as anyone. But I'm pretty psyched to bring this match up to everybody. We have the players joining up the lobby. Match getting ready to go. We're going to start today's Rocket League action off with Hartford Red and Post. As we get into it, the purple side of Post versus the red side of Hartford Red. And already explosive start as Atacad going to demo Astro off rip.
Right, and here we go. A team yesterday that we saw be quite aggressive in Post, right? But we don't know how they're going to approach today with the different lineups. So we're going to find out in real time, just as our viewers are today, how they're going to play, as Hartford Red is making a strong push and scores. Off the rip, once again, same as yesterday, we're seeing early goals.
Once again, early goals is quick pause of the match, but Spy putting it through. First name Aiden, had to give a shout out to that as an Aiden myself, but somebody's calling for a pause, so we might actually have to bring it back to the studio for a minute and take care of any technical difficulties that were happening upstairs. Hopefully it's all taken care of quickly. But yeah, like you said, we've been seeing a lot of early goals all through the Rocket League segment of the tournament, and we just see another one there. Do you think that's sort of a trendsetter for the rest of the day, or are we going to see as much early action as yesterday, or is it going to be a little bit more slow pace, and are these players really going to calm things down because maybe they feel the pressure of the LAN environment?
Right, just as you said, I feel like there's pressure in the LAN environment right across the way. You're looking at your opposing team if you stand up in that room up there, and you know that could definitely change the way you play, seeing your opponent, seeing them right in front of you.
Yeah, definitely, and the pressure of everybody around you as well. Of course, they do have the headphones in, so it might be tough to hear, but still, it looks like actually the match getting back going. No, we are going to keep it paused. I think we might have to restart it as well. So we're just technically testing everything out, but we are going to have to actually restart this matchup. And I think we could throw to a break if it's going to take a long time. But we'll stay here, actually, because it isn't going to take a long time. So forgive me for that. Technical difficulties, we run into them. It happens, but we'll do our very best to get through as, Rocket League stops for no man. And, well, already we got a look at that roster. And like you said, Atacad actually coming in was supposed to be the sub for today, but actually stepping in for the main roster today. I love to see that, giving everybody a chance to play.
Definitely, Atacad was here yesterday, right? So I feel like there's an advantage to keeping him here. He's warm. he's kind of like, felt the pressure of the tournament setting as opposed to his other teammates. But yeah, it's good to have some of that kind of like a veteran presence, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely one way to put it. As again, winner of this will play the hometown heroes of Sacred Heart Red. As of course, this event is brought to you by Sacred Heart. Of course, we try not to be biased, but then again, we do go to school here.
It's exciting to see our
it's always
friends
fun.
get in there.
Yeah, people that we know, people that we've met. But then again, I actually got a chance to meet a lot of members of different teams. I was actually talking to the Hartford Red guys before this matchup, and they all seemed like really nice people. So it's so fun to finally put a face to the names, if you will, like names that we've been casting of the games that we've been casting all tournament long. As we're going to get back into the action, and once again, looks like Hartford Red want to start things off quickly and aggressively, but they're not going to be able to score nearly as fast as they did last time, as their first shot on goal is saved away by Post.
Right, and this is interesting to see a team and Post that was more aggressive off the start, but now we're seeing Hartford Red be aggressive off the start against them. So maybe there is a different strategy for this Post team today.
Definitely could be, as Den looking to get aggressive now. Not quite going to work out. Bill's up for that one, but Astro is going to touch it away. Sir Plushy now with it, and they've got to get it out of their own half. Hartford Red, Astro and Sir Plushy looking to do so together. Big play from Sir Plush, might be able to sneak it by some of the defenders. He's only able to beat one and can't quite get it all the way through. So now it's Spy looking for something on the ground. And it's Astro instead going to take it off his hands, but Bill doesn't really want that to happen, so of course he'll get in the way, but shots on it regardless from Sir Plushy, and that's all the way through. 1-0 lead for Hartford Red, as Astro with a great pass fakes out two of them, and the last man back too far away to make the save. First goal goes the way of Hartford Red.
Right, they said, look, this technical pause is not going to stop us from scoring the first goal. They came out hot, they are putting the pressure on, and they scored again.
Yeah. They make it happen once more. Is looking to counter now our Post, but haven't quite seen it. And I wonder how this roster is going to stack up to the one we saw yesterday, because the team we saw yesterday, very talented, took the fight to quite a strong Shoe Red team, and also obviously qualified for this event by beating everybody they played other than Sacred Heart Red. So how is this team going to stack up? Are they going to be able to live up to the hype that was kind of built by those players? Players like like Nasmith, like Karamek, who I think is still here, but playing with the username Bill instead. Might be an alt account or something, but Karamek's name is Bill, and he's listed as a Saturday and Sunday player, so I'm going to assume that is him on that computer. But yeah, I wonder how this team's going to stack up to the one we saw yesterday, because right now it's been a slow start.
Right, and I would say Post versus Shoe Red was one of the two better games that we saw yesterday, as with the Yukon Shoe Red game that with the buzzer beater goal. But yeah, we definitely saw some bangers out of Post, and we saw some high scoring games as well, as they're having kind of a slow start here. Not as aggressive as we saw them come out yesterday, so maybe they need to take a more passive approach with a little bit of a roster change.
Yeah, these players maybe not as warm as the ones we saw the day before, but definitely still looking pretty solid. Is only down by one against a very talented Hartford Red roster as we saw yesterday. Good touch from Astro to keep that one out of harm's way. He's able to touch it forward once more, but stops for that one. Turns on a dime to try and get on top of it. Instead, it's Bill to end up on it, but has no boost. Going to have a hard time following, and gets beat by Sir Plushy, as Den beat there. It's only left to one man on defense, but it's Atticad, that man back, and another shot almost on from Atticad. Now Bill wants to contemplate going up for it, but just waits for a miss from Hartford. Now going back down, good shot on, but not all the way in. Is Spy there to clear it out for a good save, and Hartford Red remain at a 1-goal advantage.
Yeah, that was a good shot attempt there. That was a pinch by Bill, and now Post is kind of putting the action to Hartford Red as opposed to what they were doing to Post in the beginning.
Exactly what was happening earlier on. It's been a long, quite a bit of a scoring drought, but you like to see it because at any moment Post could be able to tie it up, or at the same exact time Hartford could be able to pull a little bit too far away. As at the rate at which we've been seeing goals scored, if Hartford takes a 2-0 lead, I don't know if it'll be looking very good for Post. And we saw them warming up earlier. They looked pretty solid, but maybe they needed a bit more time to warm up because it's been a slow start. And they've had a couple of shots that have been close, but also just a great defensive start from Hartford Red. Post could be as warm as they like, but it's still not going to make that any easier to get through the defense as we've got 1 minute to go and still a 1-0 lead to the red side.
Right, and looking down at the roster, if I remember correctly, Nasmith was their leading scorer yesterday.
I do believe so.
Yeah, I believe so as well, and he's not here today. So I feel like what we're saying about them playing a little bit different is probably true because he was the one who was scoring a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I feel like it was almost never a low-scoring game for Post, usually when we saw them play yesterday. But, you know, they might not even get one in this game with 30 seconds left.
30 seconds, though, and they want to take that as a challenge from you.
Hey, man.
Big shot top left from Bill. He's going to make it a 1-1 game, and now possibly the threat of overtime looming as only 25 seconds left, at least 25 scoreless seconds left until overtime as a possibility becomes a reality.
Right, you know, Bill heard me, and he just said, hey, I'm going to score right here because you're talking a lot of trash right now. But no, this is interesting. The first game of...
Oh, my gosh, what a save from Anacat.
Yeah, that was a great save right there. But the first game of our live, you know, event, second day, could possibly be an overtime game right here.
I would love to see it, but at the rate UH are going, they're trying to score ASAP. Touch out from the last man back for Post, though, and that's a pretty good touch. It's going to go up the wall, though, so still alive are both teams as Serplushy take it forward and just spike it into the ground. OT guaranteed between Post and Hartford Red.
Post seems to love the overtime energy, right? You know, going into overtime with Sacred Heart Red for our one and only overtime yesterday, correct?
That was the only one we saw on the stream. There might have been one on the B stream, but almost a quick overtime is Adacat, which is Dakota backwards, which is Adacat's first name, by the way. So maybe I'll call him Dakota here and there. But Adacat not quite able to sneak that one through. Shot saved by Hartford Red. And they've been putting up a formidable wall in front of their own net all day. Spy now almost able to penetrate the wall that is Post's defense, but it still remains unbeaten as it goes off the crossbar. Another shot tries to go the other way, but Bill shut down in his endeavors. But it's just going to roll across the whole pitch. And that's how game one ends. Serplushy calls game. We're all done on map one, he says, or at least in game one, he says, is it goes all the way down the pitch, rolls right into the purple net, and a 2-1 win for Hartford Red.
Right, and that's something that Post got caught up in a lot yesterday was, you know, being a little bit too overcommitted. And, you know, a goal like that, that's almost the whole entire pitch. Kind of heartbreaking to go out like that.
Yeah.
Not having the rotation correct.
Yeah, you got to look at everybody around you, all your teammates you've been playing with for so many months. You got to look left and look right and look into their eyes as you take a heartbreaking defeat like that, knowing you were so close. But honestly, I think well-deserved for Hartford Red. They looked the better team through most of that game. They took an early lead, and they held it with their lives. Everything they had, they held onto that lead with. And honestly, they did a fantastic job. So I think it was a well-deserved victory, but also a fantastic game from Post as we get into game number 2.
Right, and I'm looking forward to game number 2. Will you?
You got to
well,
pause.
The game had a pause right there. But no, I'm looking forward to game number 2 because you were talking about before how you love to see the game 3s, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely adore the game 3s, but we didn't see a lot yesterday. I think the only series we saw one was Hartford Black, was not Hartford Red. But actually, it might have been Hartford Red. I don't know.
I believe it was Hartford Black. Because that was the first one.
I do think so.
Against Shoe White.
Right, yeah. And then Shoe White unfortunately went out. I think they went out 0-2, lost to SCSU, who then lost their potential qualifying match to try and get here. Unfortunately for them, they could not make it. SCSU will not be represented at this international event. Instead, from that lower bracket, we have Post and Hartford Red, who are facing off right now. And that's why we have a matchup that we do. It's been a pretty good one so far. I'm very excited so far because I really just feel like these two teams, they play into each other very well. The first team to score that goal, just kind of holding on to it. We saw two very distinct styles of play yesterday. The teams that are more accustomed to, oh, we scored? Okay, keep going. Oh, they scored? Okay, play more offense. Versus the teams who are like, okay, if we're down, we got to make sure that we don't let them take too big of a lead. If we're up, we got to just play defense and hold strong if they give us any opportunities. But I feel like these are two teams who are more towards the former side of those two options, which is the more defensive, the more reserved, the more let's let them make the mistakes if we take a lead or if we're down.
Right, and we definitely saw that game. You know, it was a very low-scoring game for, I guess, Post standards, as we saw yesterday. But, yeah, you know, it was 1-0, and in the last 25 or so seconds, Post decided, hey, we got to tie this up, make this game.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And, you know, a 1-1 game is kind of low scoring for our tournament.
Yeah, for this tournament we've seen so far, it's definitely sort of on the lower side as they're looking to start things off much stronger. This time
Wow.
around, Spy somehow sneaks it right in between the crack between two players. As Den was on the right side of it, barely couldn't hit that one. And Atacat on the other side, barely couldn't reach. You can see Spy on the screen there, super excited at that one. Big smile, laughing with his teammates, and so happy to get that 7-second goal and to make it a 1-0 lead as quickly as ever for UH.
Yeah, there's our early goals that we've been expecting in this tournament. Everybody likes to come out hot, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, first 7 seconds there, maybe that'll be our lucky time for a goal today.
Ooh, maybe. Almost another one, though, back from Post. As UH, definitely a little too passive, sort of an, oh, you take it, no, you take it, no, I insist, you take the air dribble opportunity. And then nobody took it, but then Post almost took it and scored on their own.
Wow.
But there we go. Post leaves their goal open, and now Hartford are the ones to capitalize on an opportunity not taken advantage of by the other team, as just nobody really home at all from Post.
Right, and that's what we saw in overtime. Look, they're overcommitting, or they're not getting their rotations down. There needs to be some sort of communication, you know, flaw with the team right now, and they need to get on top of it, man, because look, this is all or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you don't have much else to play with. If you lose now, you're all done, and at least you got to the main event, at least you got to play on the land, but you're not here to just participate, you're here to win the whole thing.
Right.
As good as teams like Sacred Heart and like UConn are, they're not unbeatable. We've seen both of them make mistakes, and so either of these teams do definitely still stand a shot if they can make it through this round. But Hartford Red looking to be the better of the two of them so far, taking game 1 and taking a dominant, decisive lead in game 2, almost making it 3 off of that pass to the midfield. But Sir Flushy not allowed to take a shot on goal, so Post remain only down by 2 as they look to clear it and take some possession for themselves.
Yeah, and we're seeing a very aggressive Hartford Red team, especially in the beginning of last game, and now clearly here in the beginning of the second game. And it's very interesting to see how, you know, they took that defensive approach last game after they scored their first goal, and now they're coming out here, and it doesn't seem that they're giving up at all on offense as they almost score again right off the side of the goal right there.
Almost through. Great opportunity, but what a save it was from Den. Able to keep it out. Den or Denny, whatever it may be. I'm pronouncing it Den because I feel like, you know, when you spell it like that, the E silent, but it also could be Dene.
Then you could also think about Penne.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Dene, maybe it's Penne, who knows. I think his jersey said Dene.
Wow.
Denny, though, but there we go. Whatever, however you pronounce his name, he's just been dunked on by Spy, and that's a 3rd goal for Hartford.
Yeah, I mean, we're out here trying to learn this guy from Post's name right now, and it doesn't look like we'll see him in the rest of the tournament at this rate.
Yeah. The irony is not lost, at least not on me. Clearly isn't lost on you either.
Yeah.
As 2 minutes into this game, 3-0. Last game was much more of a defensive showing. This game, almost 4. Actually, no, not
it
almost
is 4.
It is 4. Spy just felt like getting another one, so he will. As there we go. Much love again for a fellow individual named Aiden as a 4-0 lead with 2:49 left in the game. And we did see this a good amount yesterday. Teams who take game 1, a lot of the time they play a lot more decisive in game 2, or a lot of the time we'll see a decisive game 1, then it's less decisive in game 2. So it's weird, but we only really saw one series that was dominated by one team the whole way through, which was UConn taking their first victory.
Against Magnus.
Against Magnus, yeah, they beat Albertus by quite a significant scoreline in both games to get into the winners final. Winners final, yeah. But other than that, we saw a lot of games where one team would get close in one game and it would be a blowout in the next. It looks like we've got ourselves a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, we never saw an insane comeback, really, with the exception of UConn versus Sacred Heart Red's first game. That was a 2-0 comeback.
That was within a small amount of time. This would surpass that, though. 5-0?
5-0.
That would be something to
it looks to be quite out of reach here for Post. You know, they put up a good showing this tournament, but I feel like we will be seeing them heading home.
Yeah, unfortunately. They can't stick around for the rest of the festivities of the day, should they care, but yeah,
you know,
it's going from bad to worst at this point. 6-0 lead now as Astro, just no holds barred, throwing every single punch they possibly can. kicking your enemy while they're down to try and send a message to Sacred Heart.
They're just
Red,
rubbing
hey,
it in at this point.
Yeah, they're trying to send a message to Shu Red. We're coming into this, and we're coming into this to play, so you better be prepared, because we can and will do the same thing to you if you give us the opportunity.
Right, and look, it seems like, yeah, they're trying to send a message with this game. They're just kicking their enemy when they're down here, and you know, especially against a strong Sacred Heart Red team, it's definitely going to give them something to think about. Like, hey, you know, Post made it here, and they just 6-0'd them in game 2, right?
Yeah.
So they're really no joke, as there is a potential 7-0 opportunity here as that one gets deflected off the wall there.
Yeah, and I will say, though, if I'm one of the Post players who played yesterday and couldn't participate today, definitely would be a little sad because, you know, I'd want to take this opportunity. This is a Hartford Red team that the Post team we saw yesterday looked a little bit better than. If I had to say, that Post team we saw yesterday probably were the 3rd best team we've seen in this tournament, though I would like to see a matchup between them and Hartford Red, as we only have one of the 3 members who was here yesterday, as Dakota was the sub in the series that we saw. But I mean, I'm disappointed because that Post team that we were watching all of yesterday looked so talented, and now it's kind of just Karamik who's been here, and even if that is Karamik who's playing under the account name Bill, it could be someone completely different. But almost a 7-0, Denny able to keep that one out, but really not much more to look forward to for Post. And at this point, honestly, just try to get this over with quickly. Make sure you don't get scored on anymore so they can't delay this any longer, as you just want to get this over and done with and forget it ever happened.
Right. I mean, I could be wrong, but is this the most goals we've seen scored by a team in a single game?
That's got to be it now, surely, right? After that one for the
7-0.
Spy, who's just been on a tear and putting in goal after goal after goal all game. Kudos to Spy. Another one through, 7-0, as 29 seconds to go. And I want to say we might have seen a lot in one game yesterday. I know we saw UConn put up 5 in 2 games, but that's not quite 7.
In one game.
It's escaping me.
Yeah.
If we saw 7 in one game, but I feel like it's at the very least tied, because I don't think we saw 8. I don't think we quite saw 8. Nobody was getting close to double digits. But UH taking that as a challenge, looking to get as many goals as they can. They're going to have to be content with 7, maybe 8, though, as the time will run out on Post. Congratulations to them for qualifying for today, but unfortunately, that will be all she wrote for Post so far in our Rocket League tournament. And I don't know, I think they also just went down earlier in Smash as well, so I think that's all we have for Post today. Unlucky, very happy that we got to see so much Post action today, and congratulations to their teams who qualified, but unfortunately, they're all done in Rocket League, and, well, Hartford Red take a decisive victory to send us into the next match and send themselves into the next match.
Right, and now they're going against Sacred Heart Red, which is I would say the A team here
at Sacred Heart. At Sacred Heart, definitely.
Right, and
they've got the higher ranks. They play in higher divisions, I believe, in the collegiate leagues they play in. They're generally a different level compared to the white roster is. There you go.
There's Hartford
Looking on the Hartford roster. Congratulations to them. I think they're actually going to – no, that's the side that they were on before. But they stood up, got all excited, and they were told, hey, you're playing right now, so sit back down. Please stay in those chairs. That's perfect, though. They'll already be ready, and so we just have to get the Sacred Heart players in. And then we'll have a fully prepared lobby. I don't even know if we need to go to a break. But
I don't believe so, but we could talk a lot about what we got coming today. We saw an aggressive Sacred Heart Red team yesterday, and we just saw an aggressive Hartford Red team here just a moment ago, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder how this is going to go down. Are they just going to go crazy at each other?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Hartford, we just saw there. I do think, though, that against Shu, they will tone it down just a bit, because we saw that when they were put under a lot of duress, they did tend to, just kind of slow things down and not really put too much pressure on themselves. They were just kind of, in that first game, they got that first goal and they kind of kept things toned down.
Right.
But through the rest of the games, as we saw, or through the rest of the other game, rather, as we saw them continue to get more and more comfortable, they really came into their own. So which Hartford Red squad are we going to see here? We need to see those aggressive go-getters who are looking to get as many goals as possible. Are we going to see them play more conservative? Because we know what Shu Red we're going to see. They took the fight to UConn, a team that came in and just were dominating all day. They took the fight to them, and they really took that fight to them. They were getting as aggressive as ever, just pushing every ball, pushing every angle. They started that series off so strong, but unfortunately, as it went on, things went more and more in favor of UConn, which is why we see Sacred Heart Red here fighting for a spot in the grand final.
Right. And we had a little conversation with Giraffe earlier, the star of our team, and he said, "Look, we just want to be warm for UConn and we're gonna handle this small little losers bracket today." So he's confident. He's ready to go. Sacred Heart has a Giraffe, and he's ready to swing his neck and hit him in the face.
Oh, exactly. And well, that is what he said as well. Giraffe did say, "Oh no, we lost that on purpose." Yeah, definitely. Of course, probably a little tongue in cheek, but we like to take our interviews and run with them, take them as they are. And so we believe the man. And, well, regardless of whether or not they did lose that game intentionally, which I'm sure they didn't do, but regardless of what happened, they're here today and they're ready to show up and show out. They looked so impressive yesterday as well.
They did.
The only team who could really make it a challenge against UConn.
Oh, right. I mean, UConn only won that game with a last-second buzzer beater goal, right? Which was just, probably
and that was
unlucky.
after they were down 2. UConn were down by 2.
They had to work.
Actually, wait, were Sacred Heart were down 2, and then they made the comeback, and then
No. Sacred Heart was up 2 in the first game.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and then they made that comeback after one of those kickoff goals that we said we would see very few of in this tournament.
Yeah, we've seen 2 of them.
Yeah, seen a couple for sure.
Just
2 more than I thought we would see.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, it happens to the very best of us. Even if you watch the professionals, even they are still botching the kickoffs sometimes, as we do. We're back at the studio. Hi, welcome back, everybody. And we're going to have a replay of the last match for all of you. So we'll check that out.
One of those amazing Hartford Red goals right there.
Yeah, it really is. And then Bill was able to put that one through. That was I just realized that was the only goal that Post were able to get. It was a good one as well. Great placement, but they just really couldn't get much going at all on the offensive side. They were just kind of felt suffocated every time they tried to take it up the field. And that's what happens. When you get that suffocated feeling, you try and take it up to the other side of the field, and the other team's able to just play their game and relax in their net, you're going to be prone to over-aggressing, and it's exactly what UH caught them doing, which honestly, I'm anticipating possibly, if we see a Hartford Red victory or just even an impressive performance from them, it'll probably be off of plays like that one that ended Game 1, where they didn't quite have a lot of control, but they just caught Post to getting too aggressive. I'd imagine we'll see a similar thing against Sacred Heart here as well, because like we said before, and like we will continue to drive home, this is an aggressive roster that wants to take the fight to you. So UH could counter that in one of 2 ways. They could turtle up, or they could try and get out there and counter them with even more aggression, fight fire with fire, but something tells me they're going to try and get out the fire extinguisher instead.
Right, and if they're starting to fight fire with fire, we're in for a treat in this next series that we're going to have here.
Yeah, and we do need to let the players practice up and get some time in the lobby. And while we do that, we're going to go to a quick break. But when we're back, it's going to be that UH Red roster that you just saw take a big dub over Post, fighting up against the Sacred Heart Red roster, fighting for a spot in the grand final of their own hosted tournament. Who's going to be the better side? You'll have to stick around through this break to find out. Hello, everybody. We're finally back. The break was, well, it was many years and hours and days that it took for us to be home. But finally, we're back on the live stream, and, well, we're ready for the next Rocket League matchup. It was that Hartford Red roster you just saw take a big win against the Sacred Heart Red roster that we watched on stream yesterday and that we've seen have so much success through this tournament.
Right. Sacred Heart Red is the scary team, right? They're like the ones who could take down UConn, as we saw yesterday. Even though they lost, they worked them. Right.
And yeah, that's kind of what we've been looking forward to as a grand final. But wouldn't it be quite the story if Hartford Red were to come through and shake up our storylines? As we will have to wait for the matchup before we get to that. But first, let's go to Dwayne in the forum to introduce the teams.
Welcome back to our Rocket League action. In case you missed it, Hartford just beat Post 7-0. So with that, we're going to continue our Rocket League action as Hartford takes on Shu, featuring Giraffe, Dr. Nair, and yes, I said Nair, and Fro Boys. So back to the studio. Let's get this Rocket League match started.
Yep, we are back. Thank you very much for that, Dwayne, and we're ready to get into the matchups. You saw pictures and names of our home Sacred Heart roster. Of course, didn't quite have the luxury of getting that from other teams because, you know, we don't have them readily available on campus at all times. But we're ready to get into the matchup. Sacred Heart Red taking on Hartford Red. Winner goes to the grand final later today at 1:30 after our Smash Ultimate Grand Final. And this is set to be an exciting matchup.
Right, I'm super excited for this one. You know, one could either be just like a banger like we saw yesterday, or, you know, it could be a slow, good defensive match for those who like to watch some Rocket League defense.
Yeah, I mean, defensive showings can always be pretty exciting just to see who's the next ones up to score, but already there's a lot of pressure from Sacred Heart Red as Giraffe looking to move forward, but actually gets beat by that one. Not beat enough for it to go through, so Sacred Heart will avoid a crisis for the time being. Is it that crisis averted, and they'll look to make it a crisis for the Hartford defense? His big shot on, not quite in though, is Sir Plushy already standing up to the might of the shooting power of SHU, as already their first shot on goal, not going to get through, and a big save from Plush. Another shot going on from Nair, but another big save from Astro.
Right, and we saw before Giraffe get back there and stop that ball from getting into dangerous territory, but that is something we also saw Hartford, you know, take advantage of against Post in the last matchup.
Yeah, and there they go. Such a good opportunity as it looked like the player in front of Fro wanted to try and go for some bumps and demos, but Fro wasn't able to put it on, unfortunately so. Shot barely off, and we remain at 0-0. I know we came into this thinking that Shu looked like the better team yesterday based on how they played against certain teams, but Hartford Red impressively playing so well through this game so far, not really giving Shu any room to work with, and actually putting them on the back foot for a significant amount of time. A couple shots have been pretty close from UH Red so far.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to see these two teams who are very capable of scoring start off with a 0-0 start, as there's a very close shot right there by Fro Boys.
Big save from Sir Plushy, able to make time and time again the save that they need to make, but Giraffinator going up for a reset. That's not going to be easy to save, but Spy gets it anyway, as now Fro Boys leaving it into the middle, but Nair not going to be able to reach that one. Instead, beat to the punch by Plushy.
Sacred Heart's got to be careful here with that thing that they're doing, because they're chasing that ball, and, you know, if Hartford gets in front of them, they have an easy score right there.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit ball chasing, maybe some lacking communication. And I know we kept complimenting Fro Boys for his ability to be the one to play those safe positions and enable Giraffe and Nair to make some of the fantastic plays they could make up the pitch. And, well, I want to see that continue to come out today, as Fro Boys has definitely been a bit more aggressive up the field, but nobody really falling back as a result. So there's a lot of opportunities for pressure. That's almost getting there. Just would have been such a good shot from Nair, but it's kept out. What a fantastic defensive play from UH to keep themselves at a 0-0 scoreline. And regardless of how much pressure and how many shots Sacred Heart can take and how much pressure they put the defense under, they have yet to crack with 2 minutes to go.
Wow, that one was just, they said, hey, I don't want to go on the goal right now.
Yeah.
It was just dancing right in front of the goal. And that's just an unfortunate
We saw that yesterday from Sacred Heart too. There was one shot that almost got through, and that shot not even allowed to happen as Hartford gets in the way quickly. Giraffinator now up on the back wall. Not too much boost, so has to ask Nair to go for it. Able to do so pretty well, though. Fro Boys is faked out, though, but Spy not able to get any further. Still, though, fighting for possession here, and Giraffe is able to win it out, but things look good for Shu going up the field. However, Hartford have definitely been putting a lot of pressure on them.
Hartford's been playing good defense.
Yeah, Hartford's been playing great defense as well.
Yeah, and, you know, what I do see Sacred Heart doing, though, is they're keeping that pressure on, and they're getting a lot of shots on goal despite the good defense that's being played, and a great save by Sir Plushy.
Yeah, it was pressured in net as well by the demo attempts and the bump attempts, but it just wasn't enough to get him out. And Plush stays strong. Is Dr. Nair able to stay strong as well? Spy going to look for a waterfall down. We saw it work so many times for Shu yesterday, I think, against Post, but it's not going to work there. As a 0-0 scoreline, we still stand at, and it looks like the first games in these series are both going to be the defensive showouts that I know you said before this game. Defensive showout was one of the possibilities. We're definitely not quite getting a banger in terms of lots of shots going back and forth, but a lot of saves back and forth, just as interesting.
right? And you know, there has been a lot of shots on goal though. I will say, but yeah, it's very interesting to see how we're about to be in the last 19 seconds here, and there's no score, and we might have a 0-0 overtime. Here.
We could, but don't want to call it too soon. Is Nair looking to change things. Getting in the way of Spy, though. What a save that is, preventing Giraffinator from getting it through, as Astro, the last man back, has to make a defensive stand. Froboy sent it a little too high, and now it might hit the ground.
Oh.
Giraffe had it on, but it hit the ground
But it hit
first.
the ground.
And so that would have been a win for Shu, but instead we hit overtime at a 0-0.
My goodness.
And what a close play that was.
That was absolutely insane because, as we mentioned yesterday, and we'll repeat today, the last second stays alive until the ball touches the ground here in Rocket League. And, you know, Giraffe had the shot on goal right there, an easy shot.
Okay.
But, you know, the ball hit the ground with his final attempt.
Yeah, unfortunate there, and they do end up in OT, though Shu definitely getting a lion's share of the pressure. But there you go, shot on after a great demo, but it's just off from Astro, and that would have enabled the goal. Spy gonna look for another shot on. Astro, though, shot, another demo, another save. Nair did the one to perpetrate this one and keep it alive for Shu again. But another one's through, top left corner. Spy, 328. Gives Hartford the lead, and the underdogs look to secure a spot in the grand final against the hometown heroes.
Hartford is liking playing in overtime today.
Oh yeah, Spy is loving his performance today as well. Has been showing up and showing out 3 saves and the only goal of the game. And what a performance it was, as Spy last game as well was the one to constantly put it in. When they were having a massive performance of like 7 goals, Spy was most of them. He was getting hat tricks at the very end. And super excited to see this kind of gameplay from HF, because we came into this expecting Sacred Heart to just look the better team. They looked to the better team yesterday, but it looks like Hartford Red just got a rough matchup early on in the bracket, and they've been demons through the lowers.
Right, and something to keep in mind, though, is that Sacred Heart had 9 shots on goal as opposed to 4 for Hartford Red. Yeah. Hartford Red's defense was just immaculate that game, right? We see the 7 saves right there combined by the team, and you know, it seems that the defensive strategy is what's really working for them. What Sacred Heart needs to do here is, I feel like, you know, just some better communication on the offensive end, and maybe one of those 9 shots could slip through, and they could take a game 3 as you would hope for.
I mean, as I hope everyone would hope for, is this, with a game like that in game 1, hoping for the most action we can see between these two, and then a good grand final, of course, would be nice as well. But Sacred Heart starting things off on the wrong foot, as Hartford starting things up, warmed up. I know we talked about it earlier. Giraffe said, hey, we want to be warmed up going to the grand final, but how's about Hartford being warmed up coming into this series, as Nair going to leave it in front of the net. Big demo from Giraffe, and they're starting to recognize, after they lost that last goal off the back of demos and got demoed so many times, crucially, right in front of their own goal, they're recognizing the impact of the demos. They're going to try and use them to their own advantage. Giraffinator, though, no demos there, but also no goal, as the touch off that back wall could not be good enough. Couldn't read the backboard quite enough to drop it low. And that'll be still 0-0 as we're reaching the first minute being done.
Right, and once again,
oh my gosh, what?
Goals wide open there for Sacred Heart in order to get Hartford to score the first goal of the game.
Communication, like you talked about, Giraffe runs into Nair, was in a spot to try and make a play on that, but then Giraffe ran into him. And then just, man, that's just...
It's just unfortunate.
It's just unlucky. You hate to see it. And again, you also talked about it, ball chasing as well. Getting a little too over-aggressive, trying to constantly touch that ball instead of trying to give it to your teammates and recognizing, hey, I don't have the best touch on this. My teammate has a much better play on the ball than I do. As Nair looking to try and get it into the midfield. And this is completely different. Last game, we saw them tied the whole time. This time around, though, early deficit for Sacred Heart, as they are still yet to find their first goal of the series, and Hartford already have 2.
Yeah, and Hartford seeming to turn their defense into offense here, because, you know, Sacred Heart did come out here getting a few shots on goal, and we got Hartford, and they got their first goal. Giraffe with a nice goal right there off the bottom of the car.
Off the bottom of the car. Beautiful redirect from Giraffe. I mean, my goodness. Top left corner, too? What a shot from Giraffinator. How does he sneak that one through? And that is why we were talking about to him earlier, and you mentioned him as the star of the team. Those are the kind of plays you'll get from your star, trying to be a bright enough star to guide them through the dark night that is this series so far, but it seems things are getting a little bit brighter. Perhaps the sun is rising and things have been, looking up for Sacred Heart. They're already able to get their first goal on the board. Maybe once we see them get that one, perhaps the floodgates will open. Perhaps they'll finally convince themselves, hey guys, look, we can score, we can put goals on with the best of them, as they're almost able to get a second, but a great save from Sir Plushy again, able to make big plays on defense.
Right, and teams need that goal. Just to say, hey, we got this. We know how to score on this team, and there's a chance to win here. It's great to see a team like Sacred Heart just not giving up after that first heartbreaking overtime loss.
Almost a great passing play into the midfield to Giraffinator, but Giraffe not quite able to put it through, and now it's Spy putting pressure on Sacred Heart, and they don't have too many players all the way back. Froboys is going to hop in net and then make a crucial save.
There's Froboys.
Nobody else. There he is again, yeah. That defensive final, just kind of like that defensive linchpin, if you will. Able to hold everything together, and Dr. Nair able to step in afterwards to get that save, and then a clear as well, turning it into some offense real quick as the transition is solid from Sacred Heart. But Froboys runs out of boost in midair and now leaves Giraffe in an awkward spot. He'll leave it high for Nair to go up with a roof. Throws Nair off, and now it's possession for Plush. Going up with it. Has a lot of space, and you can't afford to give that to him, because then he'll set up Spy for a big goal. And we said maybe this will be Sacred Heart starting to finally get going, but no, it's just another opportunity for Hartford to get another goal and take another lead.
That is just an amazing setup right there. I was amazed by how he was flying through with the aerial there.
Insane.
And just, you think he's going for the goal, but no, it's a setup for his teammate.
Dr. Nair looking to do the same thing, but it's Spy the one to score the last goal, and Spy the one to deny this one. I think actually all 3 goals so far through the game from Hartford. He was the one to score in overtime, yeah.
Yep.
He was, so yeah. All 3 goals so far for Spy, and another big touch. That would have been a goal for Sacred Heart unless Spy gets that touch, and Spy gets that touch. So we stand 2-1 in favor of Hartford as they still hold strong. Would be quite a shame to see Sacred Heart go out 2-0 with the expectations we had set for them today, but it would be a big day for Hartford if they were able to get to that grand final later on today. 1:30 p.m. for that final, but we got to focus up on the game right now because Nair is making it a threat. Giraffe into the middle, but Froboy's in an awkward spot, so they're not able to score. And all of a sudden, it's just about a minute left for Sacred Heart to work with, and they haven't gotten much going as of late, and they're not going to get much going there either. Giraffe almost able to get a big touch in, though. Froboys comes through to try and get something. Nair with a follow. It's on, and it's in! He sinks it through. Sacred Heart ties it up.
There we go. We're seeing a banger as we expected. It's 2-2, one of the more high-scoring games that we've seen.
Close.
That was such a close save right there.
Spy almost just barely out of arm's reach. He's not quite able to get it to go. And Sacred Heart now tie things up with 50 seconds to play.
Yeah, this is such a good game as we have a great shot. Oh my goodness.
But look at Sir Plushy. He just fires back that quickly. And it's just a dribble play.
Look at this.
One, hops it over
right
the
over.
Last. Right over Froboys.
That was disgusting.
We've been talking about how good Froboys is on the defense. But to be embarrassed like that, you got to be a pretty solid offensive player. And that is exactly what Plushy has been. So solid defensively. All game finally gets his chance to score on offense. But now could be a threat for Sacred Heart as they are into the black half pretty far in as well. But it's not going to be enough. It's shut down quickly by Hartford. 30 seconds left for Sacred Heart to play with as Nair. It's one touch, not able to get more than that. Giraffe up to follow, but Froboys needs to make a big touch. It's a decent one off the field. Giraffe doesn't have a lot of boost, but still wants to go for that touch. Proves to be a mistake. Now it's Froboys on top of it again. Good play in the corner, though, from Plushy. 15 seconds, and it's back into Sacred Heart's half. Giraffe, though, is going to send it back quickly and promptly is Spy just trying to clear it out. And Giraffe's too far up. This is going to be awkward. Zero boost on the man as well, and it might just hit the ground. Nair going to keep it up for a little while, but the chick can just roll right down. Sacred Heart's down. Hartford Red look to make the upset run through the lower bracket all the way to winning a tournament, and they are within one series. They qualify for the grand finals, and HF Red, congratulations to them. They are the winners of this one on a 2-0 land streak. The land buff is real for the Hartford Red boys as they are here to play today, and they'll be playing again at 1:30 against UConn, the team who terrorized so many squads through that upper bracket.
Right, and you want to know what? The warning for UConn, don't let Hartford Red take you to overtime.
Don't you dare.
Don't you dare let them take you to overtime. But, you know, we have a good matchup ahead. Hartford Red proving themselves today, and UConn obviously proving themselves yesterday. It's great to see two teams who are so deserving to be in this grand finals.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm totally looking forward to it later.
Disappointed to see Sacred Heart go down, as I was talking to those guys earlier, and they did. I wasn't hoping on them over Hartford because, again, I talked to the Hartford Red team before this as well. Both very good teams, but you hate to see somebody lose, but then again, it's got to happen to someone. As unfortunate that is, that's just how esports work. It's how sports go. And, well, in this case, it was Sacred Heart heading home. It'll be Hartford Red going up against UConn later today. And, well, Sacred Heart were the only team who's really been able to challenge UConn all day. So will Hartford be able to step up in that role, or is it going to be UConn dominating all the way through and doing the same thing in person once again? We are going to have a Smash Ultimate Grand Final before that, though, so stick around to see how the Smash Tournament finishes out, and then we'll be back on with Rocket League later. Stay right here. It's going to be a break before we get into Smash, but it'll be exciting. Then Rocket League, then Overwatch, then Valorant. We've got so many Grand Finals, 4 straight, coming up after this break.